Carbohydrates made of sugar or starch provide energy to the body. Starches are complex carbohydrates and simple sugars are simple carbohydrates. Protein is for growth and repair. Fats, also known as lipid, stores energy, provides insulation and provides protection. The kidneys are protected by a layer of fat. Minerals are an inorganic element which is essential to nutrition. Calcium in bones and teeth, iron in blood, in red blood cells, sodium in nerves, helps nerves transmit electrical impulses, and then vitamins are also a key part of a healthy diet. And water is an important part of a healthy diet so that you don't die. Okay? There's a diagram of the digestive system which you can look at, but I am going to read out all of the parts of the digestive system from it and their functions. So the mouth, food is chewed in smaller pieces. The salivary gland creates saliva which contains enzymes which break down food. The esophagus pushes food down into the stomach. The stomach, where food gets broken down by acid in your stomach, which is hydrochloric acid. The liver produces bile, which is an alkali, that helps neutralise the stomach acid, HCl, in your stomach. Your gallbladder stores bile, and your duodenum is where your gallbladder and your pancreas sort of come off of. The pancreas produces lots of enzymes to help digestion, to help digest food. The colon absorbs water, and the ileum absorbs all the nutrients the body needs. The rectum stores feces, poo, and the anus is where feces/poo leave the body. The ileum is part of the small intestine, and the colon is part of the large intestine. Okay. Enzymes. Enzymes are made of protein. There is a specific enzyme for every substrate. They work off the locking heat hypothesis. Enzymes act as a catalyst to their substrate. They speed up and create the ideal chemical environment for a breakdown within the substrate. Lipids break down into fatty acids and glycerol. And so I'll read some enzymes out and what their substrate is. So amylase is starch, and when it does that, it breaks into glucose. Carbohydrates, which means carbohydrates, break down to glucose. Lipases break lipids down into fatty acids and glycerol. Proteases breaks protein into amino acids. Catalose breaks hydrogen peroxide into oxygen and water. And there's also a diagram of an enzyme in the substrate, and they should fit together perfectly. And that's what the diagram shows. Respiration. The release of energy in cells is from processes in the mitochondria. The respiration reaction is glucose plus oxygen goes to carbohydrate. I'll do it again. The respiration reaction is glucose plus oxygen goes to carbon dioxide plus water. Now the formula of glucose is C6H12O6, and then oxygen plus O2 goes to CO2 plus H2O. Now that is not a balanced equation. That's just the general equation. And also the respiration reaction releases energy, and it happens in the mitochondria. So that's how that works. Blood vessels. So there are three types of blood vessels: arteries, veins, and capillaries. So arteries and veins have the same diameter. It's very similar. So lumen, where the blood flows. So you can see these bits on the diagram. If you look at these, but the lumen is where the blood flows, sort of in the middle. There's a thick wall to allow high pressure blood, and arteries take blood away from the heart, around the body. Now we're into veins. So veins take blood to the heart from around the body, take it to the heart. They have a thin wall for low pressure blood, and they have a lumen. Veins have valves so that blood can't go back down the vein, preventing black flow, or to prevent black flow. Blood sort of flows around again. The valves open and then shut every heartbeat. Capillary. They have one cell thick wall to allow diffusion and osmosis. Okay? Right. Blood. What's in it? So red blood cells, which are in blood, carry oxygen around the body using hemoglobin, and they carry out CO2. White blood cells provide an immune response to prevent bacteria and viruses and more. Plasma, a clear substance which makes up 9% of your blood, carries most other things, water, salts and more. Platelets cause blood clotting, making scabs. So exercise and its effects. So, and this is effects on the circulatory system first. There is a blood pressure change. Blood pressure rises when you exercise. You get redder skin. Skin turns red to help get rid of heat. More oxygen is pumped around the body. The heart has to beat faster, or more blood. Well, more oxygen around the body, so the heart needs to beat faster. And this affects the respiratory system. So breathing gets heavier, so that more oxygen is taken in more often. Or that's at least what your body is trying to do. So no, myocardial infarction is just a heart attack. So there's a diagram of the heart here. I'm going to read out all of the names of the arteries and the veins that lead into it. You can look for the specific names of the hearts, which are just inside it. But in fact, I'll just say this now: right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. But you can see where they are on the diagram when you have a look at it. But I'll read out the rest of the functions of certain bits. Starting with the septum, which is the muscular wall in between the left and right side of the heart. The vena cava, where blood comes back into the heart. That's where blood comes back in. Deoxygenated blood comes back into the heart from around the body, wherever it's been. And it's called, the vena cava is the great vein. That's what it means. Vena cava means great vein in Latin. So, translate it back to English, great vein. It is a vein. The pulmonary artery is where deoxygenated blood leaves the heart to go and get oxygen from the lungs. The pulmonary vein, where oxygenated blood re-enters the heart after getting oxygen from the heart. So it's gone from deoxygenated to oxygenated because it's gone down the pulmonary artery to the lung to get oxygenated, and then it's come back through the pulmonary vein. And then the aorta sends it back out again. So the aorta is the artery where oxygenated blood leaves the heart to travel around the body. And this is a going process. Eventually the vena cava will take it back into the heart, and then it'll go through the pulmonary artery and the pulmonary vein, and then it will go back through the aorta. And this is a cycle until eventually, obviously, so your blood cells get replaced. But they are used lots of times. Now again, we've just got a diagram here of the lungs, so you can actually have a look at what these pieces are, but I'm just going to read what their names out and what their problems is. So air comes in through nasal or oral passages. Nasal or passage. You have a trachea. You have a lung, obviously, it's two lungs. You have the bronchi, the bronchioles, and then the alveoli, where gas exchange takes place, so O2 to CO2. Yeah. Okay, so that is the just reading out part. Now I'm going to ask some questions from what's just been read out so that you can answer. This is Year 8 Science Revision for Biology Unit 1. Okay, so what are the two things that carbohydrates can be made of? The answer is starch or sugar. Or starch and sugar. And what do they do? What do they provide to the body? The answer is energy. Now, are starches complex or simple carbohydrates? The answer is complex. What's protein's job? What do? They grow and repair. They're used for growth and repair. What's another name for fat? The answer is lipid. And name the three functions of lipid. What can it do? The answers are store energy, provide insulation, and provide protection. And what organ, beginning with K, is protected with fat? In fact, that's a bad question because there could be another one. So we won't last. What mineral is in the bones? Answer is calcium. Where is iron? The answer is in the blood, in red blood cells. What does sodium help with? It helps the nerves transmit electrical impulses. And vitamins are another part of a healthy diet to note. Right. And so is water. What is the mouth's purpose? It's basically the food to be broken down into smaller parts. What does the salivary gland produce? It produces saliva that contains enzymes which break down food. Or they could have said it produces saliva. What does it? What does your esophagus do? Like what does it do to the food? Pushes it down to the stomach, pushes food down into the stomach. The stomach is where food gets broken down by acid in your stomach. What is the acid in your stomach? That's HCl. What does the liver produce? And what is it? Acid, alkaline, neutron. The answer is bile, and it's an alkali, and it helps to neutralise the stomach acids. Where is bile stored? The answer is the gallbladder. What do we call the area where the pancreas and the gallbladder sort of come off of? Or well, I suppose we say they sort of meet. It's the duodenum. What does the pancreas produce to aid digestion? The answer is enzymes to help digest food. What does the colon absorb? The answer is water. And what does the ileum absorb? All the nutrients the body needs. What does the rectum do? The answer is store feces. And where do the feces leave the body? The answer is anus, or the anus. What are enzymes made of? The answer is protein. What is there an enzyme for every of? So for every enzyme there's a what? Or well, there's a specific enzyme for every of what of this. The answer is substrate. Enzymes act as a catalyst to their substrate. They speed up and create the ideal chemical environment for a what? Breakdown within the substrate. And then what do lipids break down into? The answer is fatty acids and glycerol. What enzyme fits with the substrate of starch? The answer is amylase. Okay, there's a table here, but we will not go over that rest of that in this video for the questions because it's quite explain. But you maybe might want to like fill in the table, sort of, when you do like another test. So the release of energy in cells from a process in the what? The mitochondria. What is the word equation for the respiration reaction? It's glucose plus oxygen goes to carbon dioxide plus water. And the symbol equation, I'll give you that because it's quite hard, is C2H12O6 plus O2 goes to CO2 plus H2O. The respiration reaction releases what? Oh, as well as the products. What are the reactants? What's sort of another product of the reactants? Energy is the answer. What are the 3 types of blood vessels? The answer is artery, veins, and capillaries in whatever order you said them. Where does the blood flow in an artery and a vein, and in an artery and a vein, and a capillary probably? The answer is lumen. Which out of the artery and vein has the thicker wall? The answer is the artery. Does the artery take blood away from the heart or to the heart? The answer is away from the heart, and the vein also takes it to the heart. The capillary has a 1-cell thick wall. What does that allow? The answer is diffusion and osmosis. Why do veins have valves? The answer is to prevent backflow. And how often do the valves open? And then shut? Every heartbeat. Blood. What's in it? Okay. Can you name the 4 things? In fact, hold on. What thing in your blood carries oxygen around the body using hemoglobin and also carries CO2 out? The answer is red blood cells. What is the cause of blood clotting? What makes clots in your blood? The answer is platelets. A clear substance makes up 90% of your blood. What is it called, and what is its function? So it's called plasma, and it carries most other things: water, salts, and more. White blood cells, what is their function? Provide an immune response to prevent bacteria, viruses, and more. Right. So let's go through exercises and its effects. Can you name the 3 effects exercise has on the circulatory system? The answer are redder skin, blood pressure change, and more oxygen around the body. Can you name the change on the respiratory system? The answer is heavier breathing, and you could have said so that more oxygen is taken in more often. What is a myocardial infarction? It's a heart attack. Okay, so again we've got a diagram here, so I'm just going to read out their sort of like diagram of the heart here. So I'm going to just read out, so there's obviously 2 main arteries and 2 main veins, and so I'm going to tell you what they do, and then you're going to say what they're called. So where blood comes into the heart, where deoxygenated blood comes into the heart. Because obviously there's two veins, so yeah. The answer is the vena cava. Where does deoxygenated blood leave the body to go and get oxygen from the lungs? The answer is the pulmonary artery. Where does oxygenated blood re-enter the heart after getting oxygen from the lungs? That's the pulmonary vein. What is the name of the artery where oxygenated blood leaves the heart to travel around the body? The aorta. Right. Oh, and what blood is dealt with on the right side of the heart? The right atrium, right ventricle. The answer is deoxygenated blood. And what type of blood is dealt with the left side of the heart? The left atrium and the left ventricle. Oxygenated blood is the correct answer. So, question. And finally, we have another diagram of some of the lungs. And so, what are the two passages air can come into the body through? The answer is a nasal and oral passage. I'm just saying the trachea, you can have a revision of that. And you can also, the bronchioles and lung, I'm going to give to you because there's no description here. But I won't give this one because description. Where does gas exchange take place? So O2 to CO2, where does it take place? The answer is the alveoli. And you should revise the trachea, lung, bronchi and bronchioles. And yeah, that's the revision.